Welcome to Sold Out, the podcast where we travel through time to try to see the biggest movies of the last 50 years on the big screen, only to find that they're sold out. So we go see something else instead. My name's Ian. I'm here with my co-host, Michael Smith.
Hey, Ian. I am Michael Smith. I am a former film student and a movie critic with over 15 years of experience. Used to write my movie reviews for outlets like Fansided and the ill-fated Movie Pass. But now I co-host a podcast called Sold Out.
And you talk your movie reviews.
I do.
Well, I was raised by movies, so now that they're getting up in their old age, I've decided to take care of them on our podcast of Sold Out.
Nurture the art.
I've been a media critic for a lot of years and literally grew up on movies, and so I'm really excited to be here with you on Sold Out. We've traveled to November of 2002. We're here to see the 97th highest grossing film, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. But while we wait for that, we're going to see something that isn't sold out. But this is a really cool weekend. There's a lot of good movies out. What else is showing?
Oh my gosh, there's so much showing. We have the Santa Claus 2. It's November. We're finally out of the summer.
I love that we're out of the summer. It's like a completely different landscape of movies.
Yeah, the types of movies that come out in November are definitely different.
Mm-hmm.
We have Jackass, which I'm a big fan of.
I am also a big fan of. They're great stunt movies. They're super funny. Apart from Bam Margera, I love the entire cast.
Back when Jackass 3D came out, I had an opportunity to sit down with Johnny Knoxville.
What?
And chat Jackassery.
That's so cool.
It was really cool. He was shockingly polite and gentle to interact with.
When I was a kid, one of my friends got the magazine Big Brother, which is like the pre-Jackass. They used to have a magazine before they made a TV show.
In their CKY days.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And we waited every month and we were so excited. I remember that there was a whole feature on the editor had hired a stripper to come to his cat's birthday. And they wrote an entire article on it. Yeah. And these were articles that when I was 15 were deeply influencing my life decisions.
That explains so much.
All right, what else was showing though?
Yeah, so it's just a small sample. There were so many movies. It was actually hard to pick. There was Michael Moore's Bowling for Columbine.
That's
there
the
was
moment.
Sweet Home Alabama, a Reese Witherspoon rom-com. I'm a sucker for a good rom-com.
I'm a sucker for a good rom-com too. We might have to catch that. I don't know.
We'll need to find something. Punch Drunk Love. Paul Thomas Anderson directing Adam Sandler. I have a very, very squishy soft spot for Adam Sandler, and PTA might be the best director working today.
I'm really excited for One Battle After Another coming out this fall. I am so excited to see him do just a total genre jump.
This year actually has a lot of interesting stuff from interesting people coming out.
I'm loving this year.
It's fantastic.
This year. I've got my tickets to Eddington. I've got my tickets to Superman.
Yeah, I mean, we've got, Begonia is coming out.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, really, really cool stuff.
Naked Gun.
Yeah, I'm excited for that.
Can't wait.
Looks so fun.
And this, I'm not going to lie, sequel to Wicked.
Yeah, I mean, I was so pleasantly surprised by Wicked.
I saw it twice in theaters.
Yeah, really great.
Once I saw it sober.
Oh, wow. Second time?
Second time.
Yeah.
Wanted to make sure it was good.
Spirited Away is out.
That is a classic.
Movie. Just really great time for movies. I don't know why I was sleeping on, the late fall of 2002, but really good stuff out.
Who knew? Honestly, this is what I love about doing this pod with you, though, is when we go back and revisit these moments, it's like you're aware that all these movies exist, but it sort of forces us to see something that maybe we haven't seen in a long time or that we did completely miss. And it also gives you an appreciation for that moment in which all of these movies came out, because it's just a crazy good list of documentaries, of film, of animation. There's also, I think, the documentary Comedian with Jerry Seinfeld. It's actually one of my favorite documentaries.
Yeah, that was also on the list.
Yeah, just an amazing, amazing weekend. I wish we could literally go to 2002 November and just hang out at the movie theater all day. I would have a blast.
Yeah. I mean, you get the big popcorn with the refill on that one.
Which today we're seeing Eminem's pseudo-biopic, 8 Mile.
We are.
Let's do this. Since we are catching 8 Mile, I've never seen 8 Mile. You have.
I saw 8 Mile when I was 13 years old at a drive-in movie theater.
That's what it was made for. It was made for 13-year-old white boys at drive-in movie theaters, right?
Yeah, I saw it with my former babysitter.
Like your babysitter took you to see it, or?
Well, I mean, I was 13, so I don't believe I was being babysat at the time. We just as I got older, became friends, and yeah.
Okay. And as a family, you went and saw it, or it was just you and your babysitter? I have so many questions about this situation. This is bizarre.
Me, my babysitter, her boyfriend at the time. I think one of my friends. Yeah.
Okay.
It was a weird thing.
And your parents were chill with this scenario?
Yeah, I mean, they trusted her to watch me when I was a child, so I guess taking me to a movie wasn't a huge jump.
With her boyfriend and 8 Mile?
I don't fucking know.
All right.
I watched a lot of movies as a child with very few filters applied.
You know what? I wish. I grew up in a weirdly protective home where some things were really permitted and other things were not. Saw a lot of classic film because I think my parents were pro Hays Code. I think it explains a lot about why I am where I am now. But yeah, I didn't go see 8 Mile. I will say, not an Eminem fan.
I predictably probably am or was.
I don't know. He just didn't speak to me. And honestly, a lot of his misogyny, his homophobia, it really turned me off to his brand. And I pretty much just avoided him. And it's probably why I avoided the movie at the end of the day, is that I just wasn't for me. Which, again, why I love doing this podcast. It brings me back to these moments and lets me reinvestigate. Did I miss a good movie because of some feelings I had about a rapper?
Well, and I think the way that the
movie, who gives a shit?
The way the movie intersects with those things is going to be fascinating to talk about.
Let's do this. Let's catch 8 Mile.
Let's do it.
I'll grab the popcorn.
I'll grab the tickets.
My name is Lily, and it's past her bed.
My name's Alex.
What's the matter?
We're being evicted.
What's wrong with Cheddar Bob? I like MC Bob, right? Yo, did you sign me up to battle tomorrow night at the fucking shelter?
Ward, I think you were a little hard on the Beaver. So was Eddie Haskell, Wally, and Miss Cleaver.
I think I kind of need to just do my own thing, man.
Gravity, oh, there goes gravity, choke. He's so mad, but he won't.
Well, after the break, you can break 8 Mile down. B Rabbit had so much at stake. He didn't take his one chance, so he grabbed number 2. I'm going to play the snap sound so that we too can hit the loo.
The loo?
Welcome back to Sold Out. In this episode, if you hang around till the end, you'll get to see me and Michael square off in a rap battle. But before that, Michael, break it down. What was 8 Mile about?
You know, Ian, I'd love to give you a synopsis of 8 Mile, but I keep on forgetting what I wrote down. I open my mouth, the words, they won't come out. I'm choking, but I guess I should just give it one shot. I can't miss my chance to blow. So in a semi-autobiographical role.
I thought you were going to wrap the whole thing.
No.
Oh, I was so excited.
I'm not going to subject you to that.
Well, that was more of a beat poetry version of it.
Love
that we both wrote a rap. It's embarrassing for all parties involved.
Especially the poor listeners / viewers.
My apologies to all of you.
So 8 Mile is a semi-autographical film where Eminem plays B Rabbit, an aspiring rapper looking to make a name for himself in Detroit's competitive hip-hop scene. Along the way, 8 Mile explores Rabbit's struggles with relationships, class, community, and how those interact with his burgeoning music career.
I know you mentioned that you do not necessarily love the way that women are treated in this movie. This seems to be a theme among a lot of movies that we watch.
The women are not given much to do, and the things that they are given to do are not great.
There are 3 major female characters, right? There's Stephanie, Janine, and Alex, all functioning only in relation to B Rabbit's character.
Yes, and they're all foils.
Yes.
Right. So, and I think that really is, I don't want to call it an issue, right? Because if the movie is semi-autobiographical and it's about challenges, then this could be theoretically sort of how these people interacted and influenced his life. But yes.
I actually want to pause you there because that's a really important thing you said. So if it's semi-autobiographical, then this is an excuse for writing these women this way, right? But it's semi-autobiographical.
Right. They could have changed it.
Well, when they did, they changed a lot of things about it. In fact, I didn't record this clip, but I did listen to an interview with Marshall Mathers talking about being in this film and getting to play a character that wasn't Marshall Mathers and how it gave him freedom to do things that weren't things that actually happened to him and to remove things that maybe did happen to him to create a compelling narrative, which tells me that there was a lot of artistic freedom that was being taken with this character, which means that potentially, if you feel that women were treated negatively in this, there was an opportunity to give them more to do.
To change that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you mentioned there are 3 female characters.
And Lily, I guess, is worth mentioning, but I don't know how much she represents as a female character. But yeah.
Let's start with Janine. She's kind of the smallest.
The crazy ex. Yeah. Everybody needs one, right?
She's the crazy ex. She
I've had
pretends
one.
to be.
Have you had one?
No.
You've never had a crazy ex?
No.
There's always a point in your life in which you have to call your ex crazy. It's like a rite of passage.
She pretends to be pregnant to manipulate him, I suppose, that we're never really told what that manipulation exactly is or what the goal, I suppose, what she's trying to get him to do is. You have his mom, Stephanie, who is portrayed as unreliable, an addict, not particularly bright, doesn't make great choices, behaves erratically, unpredictably, certainly doesn't make his life easier. And then you have Brittany Murphy's character, the love interest, who I don't know, one, why she's the love interest. I don't know. We're never really told what she finds appealing about him. We're just meant to sort of assume, like, of course he's appealing. He's the protagonist of the movie, so she definitely wants to be with him.
Well,
and then she also...
that she sees something in him.
Yes. Yes, it's not deeply explored.
No, and I think we're sort of invited to see something in him through her as viewers of that relationship.
But then she, again, behaves in a way that is negative.
I want to hear more about why you think she behaves in a way that's negative.
The movie it's about B-Rabbit. It's about Eminem, right?
Sure.
And so it is definitely told through his perspective as the audience. His sort of position on things is the one that we are meant to adopt. And so as they have this relationship that it's just starting, it's definitely in its early phases. There are elements where it seems to be moving fast, elements where it seems to be not moving at all. But she eventually hooks up with another rapper.
Wink. I don't think he's a rapper. I think he's like a promoter.
Or a promoter. Yeah.
He's like
he's in the scene for sure.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
And this is portrayed as, and I think we're meant to see it as, a massive betrayal to B-Rabbit.
This is actually what I like about this movie a lot. This is where this movie really won me over. Because my first instinct when I saw that scene was, this is a massive betrayal to my protagonist. I'm following B-Rabbit. Mm-hmm. But the movie does not treat her as though she betrayed him. In fact, I really like this character and how they handle Alex. This really changed my mind on this movie because I really felt it was kind of mediocre, a little bit of a Rocky of rap movie. I felt like I'd seen it before, only this time with an actor at the center of it who actually maybe has as much range as Sylvester Stallone. I'm not sure, but he can hit about 3 notes and he hits them well, but he's not a great actor. He's a much better rapper. And then when he catches Alex cheating on him with Wink, and he goes in there and he hits Wink, he walks by a successful rapper that is focused on what he's doing. This is actually one of the only moments in the film in which you see a vision of what success maybe looks like. Mm-hmm. He's getting an interview on the radio. He's talking about how he's worked really hard and he's really kept his eye on the prize and continued to like hone his craft and promote himself. And this is the first time you ever see B-Rabbit walking through a building that basically isn't a trailer or isn't a place where he's stamping bumpers. Like, this is what success could potentially look like. This isn't the top level, right? But this is sort of a level that he'd like to get to. He walks past a rapper that he could learn something from towards jealousy and anger that causes him to lash out in this way, where he goes in and he hits Wink and he yells and he screams. And this is the moment where I was like, oh, the movie's going to tell me that she's betrayed him, that she's a bad person. But the movie never really takes that position. In fact, she remains a promoter of B-Rabbit after this happens. Mm-hmm. The relationship doesn't really continue. And I sort of realized this moment, and this is where I want to get into like why you took away what you did. They weren't in a relationship. They had sex once. They weren't actually dating. They weren't exclusive. They never talked about it being exclusive. In this scene where he hits Wink, he's the bad guy. Alex is not the bad guy. And you can't help but admire Alex. She's trying to get out of shitty ass Detroit just like he is. And this is a step in the direction. And that for a woman in her position, what she's doing, this is a step that she has to take. And she's willing to do it because she's willing to make sacrifices just like he is willing to stamp bumpers to get out. Now, whether having to have sex with a promoter to do that, we can criticize that decision. But I like that the film actually doesn't judge her.
I actually agree with you.
Well, that's not fun.
Except in that, I guess, like, I don't see it as a massive betrayal, like myself, right? Like, because I
think the film portrays it as a massive betrayal.
I don't think they were in a relationship. They weren't exclusive. They hadn't even known each other that long. She didn't really owe him loyalty.
No. In fact, for all intents and purposes, how would she have never known he was being loyal to her?
Yeah, and I guess where I walked away with the impression that I walked away from, and I'm backing off of it now, is that I think the movie's pretty agnostic in that scene. And so because B. Rabbit's the protagonist, I think my assumption was just that it's taking his side. But because it really takes no side, we're left to judge his reaction, which I think you're right. I think he does overreact. I think he behaves badly in that moment and is expecting something from her that she does not owe him.
And this is why I like this movie, is that it doesn't take a position. It doesn't judge her. It doesn't side with him. It doesn't side with her. It presents this scenario and you're able to do with it what you want. And I think that is just good directing.
Well, and it's funny that it took this conversation for me to sort of make that connection, because one of the things I like most about this movie is that it is largely non-judgmental of its characters and its setting and the community it's exploring. I like that this movie really just shows a character in a time, in a place, with some people, and kind of just lets them be what they are.
This is something that the movie does very well, but I think it's also something that is, I'm going to use a word I absolutely hate, problematic. Can't believe it came out of my mouth.
Most 2025 word ever.
It's the most 2012 word, most 2013 word. Yeah. Well, I'm going to bleep it.
Bleep.
I am. A lot of hip hop and this movie is about authenticity. It's about being the realest person on stage, the realest person who is rhyming, the realest person telling the story that is true to who you are. And that's a big part, like within the culture of hip hop. That is an enormous element, to be the realist. And for him playing this character that talks about things that are semi-autobiographical in a place where, in a space in which being real is really important, are the characters within it, are they authentic to who they are? And so they call him Elvis, they call him white trash, they call him Vanilla Ice, and they basically say he's not real. He's from the wrong side of 8 Mile, therefore he cannot be part of the hip hop culture. And what I love that this movie does, and that I think does really well, is that you can see that these things of where you're from and what your race is are tied so intrinsically with authenticity. And it sort of takes them apart and says, no, being authentically yourself actually doesn't have anything to do with these things. It's just having a relationship with those things that is honest and real and knowing where you came from. And this, obviously culminates in the final rap. But for the entire movie, he's kind of downtrodden. He kind of seems like a little bit of a loser. And he really did come from this really poor place with this really difficult life. And he raps about what he's experiencing. And I like how the movie says, well, what is authentic? Authentic is literally the meaning of the word authentic. It's being authentic to telling your story.
Yeah, and I think what's interesting, and there might be a little bit of like confirmation bias on my part, just in terms of a worldview, is I think the movie breaks down the perception of those differences of race and things. And really what it shows is that it's class, right? That like he might be white, but he is also poor and faces a lot of those same struggles because he is poor. And I think that something that's portrayed in this movie is that when resources are scarce, it creates a competition that breeds those divisions.
I love that you bring that up. So there's this tribalism among a group of people that actually should be getting along. They have so much in common with one another. whether you live on this side of 8 Mile or that side of 8 Mile just determines whether you live in Section 8 housing or in a trailer park.
Right.
But you're still dealing with
Neither one of those are awesome.
No, you're still dealing with the exact same issues of, scarce resources, few opportunities, not being able to hold a job because your car won't start or because you missed the bus or whatever those things are. They have so much more in common than they're willing to acknowledge. And he, because he's white, because he lives on that side of 8 Mile, he's always seen as an outsider. And this movie really does say, the poor, look at the way the poor are fighting amongst themselves, whether it's through rap. There is a lot of violence in this movie as well.
Well, you mentioned the final rap battle. And in the final rap battle, he is going against Papa Doc.
Clarence,
right? And Clarence is the point, right?
Yeah, no, I know that's, yeah.
Is that we have all of these divisions that are presented to us as racial divisions, talk about authenticity. And the way that B. Rabbit wins that battle is by exposing Papa Doc as Clarence. That he came from an upper middle class family. He went to private school. His parents are together and have a good relationship. For this movie, in that scene, to expose that, I think really is sort of the thesis of the story.
Being impoverished in this world is really like the glue that holds people together within this rap community, except that it's not holding them together. They're allowing it to separate them. It's coming between them in all of these ways because they're making up these various differences. But what I really do, again, like about this movie, I keep saying that, what I like about this movie is that at the end, it doesn't try to sell you some story about how we all just need to come together in order to move forward. In fact,
no, it's actually a lot more. It's more about like independence and self-reliance.
Well, yeah. So you have these rap groups. So you have the 313s, right?
The 313s
and Free World are the two.
Yeah. Or did they say 3 1/3? I don't even. Yeah,
they say the 313s. Yeah, but it's their area code, right?
Yes.
Which I love how dated that is because nobody identifies based on their area code anymore because landlines are.
Because we all have cell phones and have moved, and I have an area code that has nothing to do with where I live.
Exactly. Yeah, and the area code I have does have to do with where I live because I had to make some change to my account and they forced me to change my area code. Otherwise, I would also be.
You are not very street, Ian.
I am very street Ian. That's my rap name. At any rate, so they identify based literally on location. This is where we're from. And again, this is drawing these weird lines through a city which is grossly impoverished, which gets commented on a lot, specifically about the house where the young girl was raped.
Yes.
Where there's this house that's just not being taken care of by the city because the city's not taking care of this entire community that's living in this space.
I love that you mentioned the house where this horrific crime happens.
It feels like a really important image in the film that it sort of lives in the background.
Well, and I think it's important because you have these rappers, right? And what we are led to believe culturally about like rap and rap culture is that it's very exaggerated, that it glorifies things like violence and crime and just immoral behavior. Mm-hmm. But they're horrified, and in a lot of ways defined by how horrified they are by that crime, by the violence of it, by the ugliness. Mm-hmm. And the movie does this multiple times. There's the scene with the gun that you alluded to, where it actually, again, shows how similar most people are, right? How inauthentic that glorification is, right? In the scene where the gun comes out, everybody on both sides of this conflict flips out. They act like I would if someone pulled a gun.
Yeah, because it's a gun and they're human beings. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think like that's...
I love how human that moment is.
It's sort of played for comedy, but I actually think it's one of the more profound scenes of the movie.
It is very profound. It's where you have Cheddar Bob, which let's just call it out.
I love Cheddar Bob.
We have another movie with a connection with a character. Like every time we do a movie, there's some weird connection.
There are weird connections, right? We didn't mention it in the Keanu episode, but in Keanu, someone has a horrific wound that is treated with duct tape, just like in Green Room. Keanu has a character named Cheddar. This movie has a character named Cheddar Bob. This is all happening very by accident, and I don't know if I'm concerned or if I'm thinking that there's like divine intervention and our podcast is blessed.
I'm going to tell you right now, the second one.
Yes. It's the second time you've done something very Christian as the Jew of the podcast.
I'm willing to pray to any God as long as it helps out the podcast. Buddha, Muhammad, doesn't matter. Oh, probably should have said
Neither of them are gods, but that's cool.
clearly as the Jew of the podcast. But Cheddar Bob. So Cheddar Bob pulls that gun out. And yeah, everybody absolutely freaks out. And to your point, it's played for comedy, but it's played for comedy because the actor who plays Cheddar Bob, whose name is eluding me, and I really like him, and I always like seeing him in things, Evan Jones. Evan Jones is just a naturally funny guy. And I think he's the right guy to have the gun. And I love that it's like his mom's gun. He doesn't know how to use it. He freaks everybody out with it. And he takes it out to seem bigger than he is. And he's actually kind of he's the representation of the inauthentic rapper in some ways. And I like him for that reason. I like the role that he plays because he hangs out with the rap crew of the 313s.
Yes.
You never really see him rap. He's more concerned with appearing to be a rapper than actually learning the skill and doing the writing and working on the rhyming.
I do think it's significant that he never raps.
I do too. It's incredibly significant. And that he's very concerned with what his MC name is. Yeah, like when he gets shot, that's what he's talking about. Gets shot, shoots him.
When he shoots himself, putting the gun away after he freaks out.
After putting it in, he puts it in his pants. So he doesn't know how to use a gun. He gets it from his mom. He's concerned with his name. He is inauthenticity in rap. Now, does he live a poor life? Absolutely. Does he have struggles? Absolutely. But he's not a rapper, and he likes the rap culture. He wants to be around the rap culture. And there is a lot, you kind of get to see both sides of like working hard at rap and then wanting to seem like you're a rapper.
You ain't got insurance, the medical establishment will fuck you up.
Man, where the fuck else would he be? Man, just thank God he's alive.
No, thank God he didn't shoot his fucking dick off.
That's why brothers need to sign themselves a deal. I'm telling you, record labels supply
why?
niggas with
Do
the
they
kind
want
of
him to have
benefits they
babies?
need.
Dog, we sign us a deal, you can take the motherfucking benefits. We talking Bentleys and Benjamins, not Blue Cross and Blue Shield.
Look, tell y'all niggas the truth. I don't give a fuck about none of that. I just want to hit 3 1/3 on the box. You know what I'm saying? One of them strong songs on
I don't know what we
JLB.
need to do is save that shit up, put it into some savings bonds every week, stack it, build our own studio.
Savings
Let
bond.
me ask you a question, dog. How the fuck are we brothers? We need fine bitches and fat rides. I know goddamn savings bonds.
Man, that's all we ever do, man. Is talk.
This scene lays out various theories of the case for rapping. Is it Blue Cross and Blue Shield where you need benefits? Is it Bentleys and Benjamins where you want to seem rich and live large? Is it having your music played on the radio so that people can hear you and that you achieve fame? And these are the three sort of versions of hip hop that B-Rabbit has in front of him. And he rejects all three. Yeah, he thinks that they're just talking shit, that this isn't important. But we don't know what his theory of the case is at this point in the movie. In fact, in a lot of ways, he's very quiet on who he is as a rapper. Obviously, the movie starts with him not rapping, him being too scared to rap. And that journey is a really important journey that like caps off the film. It has this amazing sort of...
these two bookends.
Yeah, the bookends are almost perfect, perfectly mirrored.
Breaking out. He's got the vomit on his sweater already. He can't rap. And then it ends with him obliterating Papa Doc.
Yes. In fact, it does even better than that. So if you remember in the opening scene, he can't rap. He has a vomit on his sweater, and they tell him, you'll get him next time, and he leaves, and he gives a peace out sign. It's also how he leaves his success. Nothing changes for him as he goes through that. The only thing that changed was something inside of him that gave him the confidence to be able to go up there and do what he was clearly born to do.
And that's what I love about the ending, right? Is he has this success. Like he said, he kind of ends it the exact same way. You have these parallel images. And then his friend comes up and is like, that was amazing. I'm going to book you for, the next battle. This is your jumping off point. And he rejects it. He says, no, I think I need to go do this my own way.
Future actually invites him not to book his next battle, but to be a host with him of the battles. And I think that's an important distinction because he's rejecting something that would not involve the hard work of sitting there and writing these difficult raps and thinking about them.
He would jump to a status that he hasn't earned.
But he also would be in sort of it would be an off-ramp. It would be a safe space that he could take hosting rap battles at the shelter. But that's not what he sees for himself going forward. He sees something else. And we get to kind of know what his vision is for himself, knowing a little bit about Eminem. But the film doesn't really give us much as far as what we know his vision is for himself in the future. He never really lays it out. He never really says it. We see him writing rap throughout the night. We see him practicing his rhymes at the lunch truck. We see that he's like committed to the craft of rapping, of rhyming. And I don't ever really know where he wants that to take him. We just know it's not one of these three places. And I think he loves the work. He loves the work of rapping and he wants to work at it.
The lesson of the movie is very blue collar, I guess is the best way I can think of it.
This is Rocky of rap. It really is. It is an extraordinarily blue collar message about just like put in the hard work and like you'll make it.
Yeah, and it's so interesting that it explores that sort of theme of the sort of stereotypical American dream through a community that is absolutely not feeling it.
Mm-hmm. And everyone in this community, they're all waiting on something to happen. And I think that's the other distinction between B. Rabbit's character and everyone else. And, you know, really connecting to that theme of hard work is, you know, his mom is waiting for this settlement to come in through Michael Shannon's character, which just quick shout out. Every time Michael Shannon comes up, I'm a happier person.
Yeah, I did not remember that Michael Shannon was in this movie, probably because when I was 13, I was not aware of Michael Shannon's talent.
I was ecstatic to see him in this movie.
Yeah, he's a small character, but does absolutely everything you could do with that character because he's Michael Shannon.
Oh my God, he's fantastic in it.
He's really great. But yes, he has this like settlement from some sort of accident coming that his mom, that B. Rabbit's mom, assumes is going to be her sort of ticket out.
Yeah.
And what happens the moment he gets the settlement? He leaves.
Mm-hmm.
You have the character, oh my God, I'm blanking on his name, but the sort of promoter, Wink, who a lot of these rappers see as him having these connections, and he'll be the one to just like make that connection for you, and that'll be the magic thing that takes, you know, allows the career to take off. Like you said, everyone is sort of expecting this external force to come in and solve their problems, except B. Rabbit.
B. Rabbit's not waiting on anything. It is this waiting for Godot movie in a lot of ways, that you're have these characters who believe that something is going to happen that's going to lift them out of this poverty, out of this class that they've been born into. And some of them are working harder than others at doing it. Some of them believe more in their skills than others, but everyone is waiting on something external. And to your point, B. Rabbit is not waiting on anything. He's just this very head down, work hard. He has to, like, the thing he's working through is internal because, you know, again, he can't rap at the beginning of it, and we don't know why. We don't know why he got so sick. We don't know why he was so nervous. We also don't know why everybody believes in him so much that he's going to be such a good rapper, except all of this is, of course, colored by the fact it's being played by Eminem, who is one of the best rappers alive in this moment. And so...
And, I mean, one of the most successful.
Yes.
I mean, I don't have the numbers, but I imagine...
He has a lot of number ones. If
not the top, he probably is the one of the best-selling rappers ever.
And probably is considered to be the first white authentic rapper, because prior to him, and this movie addresses it, you had Vanilla Ice, who is the most inauthentic, very cheesy, but was trying to cash in on black culture as a white guy. And the Beastie Boys, who they call them out, and I don't think it's a fair call out. They're doing something completely different. They are more a joke band than anybody realizes.
Yeah.
But regardless, like Eminem he broke this barrier that had been tried a couple times before and just never really happened. And because he had to come from this really authentic place of growing up in the space, working hard and coming out of it. And I think that's what's inspirational about the story.
Yeah, I mean, because you think about the landscape, right? In 2002, he really was breaking that ground.
You hear that Wink has been talking to that promo guy?
Yeah, I heard that bullshit. Look, man, Wink is scandalous, dog.
Could be a shot.
Now, you know I'm trying to get straight with the Lord, you know, my man up there, so I don't really like bringing too much negative toward my positive world. But Wink is just talking shit. There'll be no action, just talk. Man, will you hurry up with that thing?
He'll try it now.
That's what I'm talking about, baby. Oh, come on, man. We're going out tonight.
Tonight?
Yeah, tonight. Look, fuck last night. Okay, forget it.
I'm about getting straight with the Lord.
Come on, man. It's Saturday. I can get straight with the Lord on Sunday.
There's this waiting for Godot that's happening, but there's also this procrastination.
Yeah.
Everybody isn't just waiting. They're also putting off the thing they can do that's important to them. And I like this scene for that reason because it seems so simple. Future says he's trying to get right with the Lord, but he can put it off till Sunday. They can have fun on Saturday. And there's just this endless cycle that these characters are in, you know, from Friday to Saturday to Sunday, whether it's going to the shelter and doing a rap battle, then going to church on Sunday, then working their way through the week, doing whatever they do to get by, and going back in that cycle. Because everything that they're doing that could break out of that cycle is being put off for whatever's next or being waited on whatever's next. And this actually brings us back to Alex, Brittany Murphy's character, because she's the one character who does not live in that cycle. And it's why I love her character so much. And I think she does such an amazing job performing in this role. She just floats above this world in a way that she's part of it, but she's not shaken by it the way everybody else is.
The other thing that is interesting as we listen to that clip is B Rabbit comes close to his kind of waiting for Godot moment in talking about Wink there, and her sleeping with Wink, or not sleeping with, but having sex with Wink in the studio.
Yeah, they were standing up.
They were standing. Actually breaks that mirage for him, right? I think like that's where he dissociates from Wink. He loses any sort of interest in interacting with Wink, and perhaps that's that moment of change for him.
Yeah, he needed that. He needed to see that Wink was a dead end. And then again, you know, authenticity. Wink is another one of the most inauthentic characters. So he claims to have all of these connections, that he's able to do these things, but he's posturing. Everything he's doing is posturing because
we never see it play out. He's playing sort of both sides of the rivalry.
Mm-hmm. And because it's safe for him and it probably gets him resources and gets him girls and gets him the things that he wants in the moment, but nothing that's going to lead towards anything sustaining or truly successful within the rap community. And so B-Rabbit needed to have his vision broken about Wink, and he needed to see that Alex was also just a human being. I said that she floats above the world, but she's not an angel there to save Rabbit. Right. Like she has her own plans, and she's going to do what she can to accomplish them. And he needs to have his own plans and do what he needs to do to accomplish them. In a lot of ways, I really do think she acts as a model for how he actually can work his way out of Detroit and become a successful rapper.
Well, and there is the obvious criticism to be had in regards to the fact that like sex is the currency that she uses for that mission. However, that's the currency she has, right? We're looking at these people who are we've said deeply impoverished, right? What B-Rabbit has is his skill as a rapper. What she has is her sex appeal. And we can sort of from our high horse, we can judge that. But at the end of the day, she is seeing herself in a situation that she wants out of, and she's going to play the cards that she has in her hand, even if they suck.
But the movie doesn't represent her as only having sex. It actually represents her as being really smart, really charming. She's able to see something in B-Rabbit that other people maybe can't quite see. And that currency that she has in sex, well, sure, she has it, but everybody has it. She's just using it. Men are also having sex with her, and they're not gaining anything out of it other than broken hearts or whatever it is, right? She's actually using it to move herself in a direction. And so I think the film, again, does a really good job of not judging her for moving forward. And you said we can sit back and judge. And the reality is I have no desire to. I think the movie does a great job of doing, a service to that character. We mentioned the other women, like Janine's the crazy ex-girlfriend. I don't think it's even worth diving too deep into her character. But Stephanie, his mom, that's one where I think things were a little bit stickier. And I think it tries to get maybe too biographical, or maybe it doesn't quite know what to do with that character by presenting her as being as lost as she is.
Don't you think you should have called or not first or something?
Phone's disconnected.
I know that, Rabbit. Got to get down to the phone place tomorrow and I've been busy, you know.
Rabbit, what the fuck you doing there? How about knocking?
Me and Janine just broke up.
Oh, I'm sorry, honey. I thought you had a really good thing going with her.
She's sleeping with somebody else.
But then again, she does feel sincerely lost. But with so few character representations of women, it's hard to have one that's so central.
Yeah, so I don't know the biographical element. I know that Eminem has or had a bad relationship with his mom. And so, you know, perhaps there's a necessity for her to be a challenging character in that way. But she is very, very lost and is presented in a way where she is either actively getting in his way, or in the moments where she tries to help, it often does not.
She's one of these parents that isn't a parent. She's a friend. Mm-hmm. And she probably raised him that way her entire life. And she never matured out of whatever situation, and probably from relying on relatively abusive men for most of her life. And so I do think her character is presented in a way that is at least empathetic. Like, I don't walk away from this movie hating Kim Basinger's character.
No, you don't hate her. I
don't even dislike her. I feel badly for her, which maybe is worse in that I do pity her. Mm-hmm. And that's a little bit tough because I don't have a lot of respect for her character. And I don't have a belief that her future is going to be okay. And not that I need those things, but I just don't think they give her, to your earlier point, a lot.
Right. And I don't know, but maybe she's just another reflection of that poverty, that community, right? I mean, you have B-Rabbit. His dad doesn't appear. His sister's dad doesn't appear. Michael Shannon's character, the boyfriend, is abusive. That is a cycle that exists in these impoverished communities. And there's almost even like a chicken and egg problem there where, you know, we don't know. Well, we know, but where you have the poverty that perpetuates those bad relationships, those bad connections. People get into relationships they shouldn't be in out of desperation. But also those bad relationships, that lack of sort of healthy partnership community perpetuates the poverty, right? Mm-hmm. You can't really get out if you're not able to find those connections.
But I guess the question is, in this film, did they need to represent Stephanie's character in that way to show that? Because I feel like it's already shown. And while Rabbit's character is not the most emotionally healthy person you encounter, he's definitely not the most broken either. And so having his mother be so broken, but then show that he has such a strong work ethic around him, there is a little bit of a disconnect between those two things. I feel like in order to justify Stephanie's character being as messy and broken as she is, I almost feel like Rabbit should have been a little bit messier and a little bit more broken. He's very inward. He's turned very inward, mm-hmm. but he still is like very kind, very smart, very hardworking. He has all of these really positive qualities that you're like, but they didn't say, oh, he got them from his mom. And I think, or at least one of them from his mom. And I think that would have maybe made her character feel a little more three-dimensional and made the relationship feel a little more three-dimensional.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that, you know, she could have still been messy and had all the problems that she had and been given a little bit more depth and humanity.
You don't really know how old Rabbit is in this. And so, again, the relationship, like, how has it evolved over time? Or has it always been like this? And I think there's a sense that it's probably always been like this. And you can see him parenting, I'm assuming it's his little sister?
It is his little sister.
Okay. Yeah. Did they explicitly say that in the movie?
I don't know.
So I thought it was his daughter at first, and I wasn't sure if I'd missed something or if it was intended to be ambiguous. It was a little bit. But regardless, his little sister Lily, you can see he's sort of become that parent, and it's pushed him into that mature phase. And I think that's what the movie's trying to do with his mom being so out of it and him having the strong work ethic, is saying like, oh, well, because his mom wasn't there, he had to mature and level up. I just think there could have been more work done to put some of that into Stephanie's character. So
yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, but that's really all I've got to say about that. The making of this movie is kind of interesting. So they it's weird when you have a movie that is sort of based on the life of a rapper, but he didn't write the movie. It sort of felt like it was like put together almost like by a production studio.
Yeah. So I was reading about this too, and I couldn't even gather completely if it was meant to be about him or include him from the get-go either, or if they were writing a movie about a rapper and then he got involved and there was some sort of like retconning that happened.
Yeah, it feels like this is a blue-collar narrative in which you could have plugged in, probably from the beginning, the bones of the script. It was really, we were talking about authenticity and realness in rap this whole time, and I think the film does a good job of having this sort of gritty aesthetic and continuing forth with that realness. But hearing Brian Grazer talk about producing it undermined this a little bit for me.
I saw him on MTV years ago, and I really didn't know who he was. But in the span of about 5 or 6 seconds, he went from having this detached, icy, kind of urban glare to this fluid, kind of wonderful quality. And I just thought, what an amazing range.
He gave me everything that one looks for in an experienced actor. He gave me dedication, he gave me focus and commitment to the story that we were trying to tell.
Marshall Mathers, on one side, was this raw artist that hadn't really acted, and the other side was Curtis Hanson, a classic storyteller.
Curtis Hanson wasn't from this world. I'm not really from his world neither, with the whole acting thing, so we basically had to put a lot of trust in each other.
Bringing these worlds together is an interesting choice, especially when you hear Brian Grazer talking about seeing him on MTV and not knowing who he was, but then deciding to produce a film that is loosely based on his life. It feels a little Hollywoody.
Feels very Hollywoody. And I think that there's...
I think it's part of what turned me off to the movie when it came out. I do enjoy it, but...
I think it's sort of amazing, though, that if the genesis was that Hollywoody, right, and almost cynical in a way, that the movie itself ends up being, as we've discussed, sort of non-judgmental, right? Like, we talked about the way Bernie Murphy's character could have been judged. We talked a little bit about the early days of Eminem's career. And I think a lot of the criticisms that could be applied are sort of these luxury beliefs that people from like the world of Hollywood would have, but that people in this world in Detroit just don't have time for.
I think this was just good work on Curtis Hanson's part. I think he found a way to take something that probably started a little bit producery and make it feel real through his collaboration with Marshall Mathers, through his decision to shoot it the way he did. It has again, a very real, there's a lot of handheld cameras, choosing to pull all the color out of the palette. This is a green and gray and black movie. There really aren't a lot of other colors. We have the fire that gives us a blast of color. And then the only other time the color palette really makes a huge shift is when we go into JLB Studios and we feel that world of a little bit more elevation where there's just more color in that world than the world that they're used to. And then, of course, Alex, Brittany Murphy's character, she always has a little pop of color too, which this is just great direction, great cinematography. This is the person that is a little bit above this world, doesn't quite live within it, but is part of it. And so she tends to have some purples on her. And all of that comes together to make a film that does at least convince me that it's real, even if it had this beginning in sort of Hollywoody, producery. I didn't know who Eminem was. He was on MTV, which it's just like the most like 45-year-old producery thing a guy could say about making a movie about Eminem. But
do you believe him, or do you think it's like when Meghan Markle says she didn't know who Prince Harry was?
No, I actually do believe him. I actually think he didn't know because there's no benefit to him saying it. It makes him kind of silly. And I think even the whole thing about, seeing him flow between these two characters on stage of being sort of icy and detached and then having a flow. I'm like, have you ever seen Nicki Minaj perform? This is a rapper thing, is taking on characters and then playing those characters out through rap. Like, this guy doesn't know much about rap, which is clear. And I'm no expert, but it all just rang, like I said, very, very Hollywoody, very plasticky. But it still resulted in what I think was a pretty damn good movie.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, in that case, let's take a break. We'll be back with more Sold Out.
Welcome back to Sold Out. We just discussed 8 Mile, which is not a biography of Marshall Mathers / Eminem. I don't think.
Slim Shady.
And now we get to talk our MVPs, the thing that we liked the most about a movie that we both liked.
Yeah, definitely.
Ian, I think you showed your cards a little early.
Yeah, probably.
I think I know who your MVP is, but why don't you tell us about her?
My MVP is Brittany Murphy. She steals every scene that she's in. She does an amazing job of just playing this character as somebody who, like I said, is willing to do what she needs to do, and not in some lascivious way and not in some overly ambitious way where you wind up not liking her, but she just understands the layout of this world and the people that occupy it. And I also really love this performance from her because I know her mostly for comedy, and she gives a great dramatic performance in this movie that I don't think I'd seen from her before. I also will always give a little extra credit to anybody that was in the cast of King of the Hill, because she was incredibly funny in that show. She did an amazing job. She was incredible in Clueless. I think her career was incredible. Devastating that she died as young as she did in 2009. This movie honestly made me miss her. She was such a great comedic voice, and I think in this she showed that she was also a great dramatic voice. And so Brittany Murphy, really, I think she deserves the MVP for this movie for being as good as she is, and also playing in a lot of scenes with Marshall Mathers, who, like I said, he's not a bad actor in this movie.
No, he's not. I actually think he showed an okay amount of range, or at least different sides of a character.
I was actually going to say my criticism is the range. I think he found 3 parts of the character that he was able to play, and then he just kind of moved between those 3 parts.
More than a lot of professional actors give us.
And he did them convincingly, though. So I think each of those 3, I think he was able to do them in a way that worked, but it meant she had to do a lot of work in scenes that she was sharing with him, and it never felt labored. And so I think for that reason as well is why I selected Brittany Murphy. And she was just great. Like, again, just...
Yeah, I mean, through our discussion, I've really appreciated her character a lot more and the role that it plays in the story. As I was watching it, saw the quality of the performance and the talent that she has. She does bring an energy to every scene that she's in that does not exist in the other parts of the movie. And really, that is to the service of the story, right? Because she brings so much energy and quality to the performance, the role that her character then plays is magnified in a way that it otherwise wouldn't. And that's why it's not just writing for that character. It really is her.
This movie would be kind of flat without her. It really would. And she really is bringing something different that the movie desperately needed and thankfully had it. And she did a great job really balancing it.
Yeah, I concur.
So I think your MVP, is it also Brittany Murphy?
It is not also Brittany Murphy, though now... I mean, you may have convinced me.
Oh, wow. Okay. I changed your mind on a bunch of things on this movie.
You did. I think that you really make the case for Brittany Murphy and her character very, very well. I think actually after this conversation, I really appreciate the elements of this movie more than I did kind of on first watch, which I think is kind of the greatest thing that I could ask for in doing this with you. So
honestly, guy, that's one of the best compliments you've ever given me. I'm so glad I didn't go forth with my really mean diss rap that I wrote about you.
I kind of want to hear the really mean diss rap that you wrote about me. I wonder which of my insecurities you very accurately lampooned.
Oh, I tried to hit as many as possible.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good.
Like just a drive by with an automatic weapon. All right, who's your MVP?
My MVP is director Curtis Hanson for the reasons that you actually laid out.
Did not mean to do that, but
he took a story that, or maybe not a story, but a premise of filmmaking that could have been really bad and made it good, right? This could have been a very overly polished vanity project. I think in most others' hands, that's what it would have ended up being. And instead, we're going to bring up the word authenticity again. I think he, as much as one can in this kind of project, brought a sense of realism to the table. And I also think like his experience helped here, right? I think of LA Confidential, right? Which is that intersection between sort of the glitz of Hollywood and something much darker. And I think that the themes explored in that movie sort of apply to the making of this one, in that, you know, you played that Brian Grazer clip, and I think Curtis Hanson really was the perfect antidote to the problems that maybe a producer could have brought to a project like this. If it was overproduced, if it would have been bad. I think. I don't think it would have been not as good. I think it would have been actively bad.
I agree. This movie could have been bad in a lot of ways. And by keeping the polish off of it and maintaining this grittier feel to it, this looser sense to some of the acting, and I mean, whether he did or didn't, it felt like he let the actors have a little bit more time to play on scene and say things that maybe they would say in this moment. It made all of it feel a lot more grounded. And this was it was good direction.
It takes a lot of courage as a storyteller, too, to end your movie the way that this one ends, which is that your character, your protagonist, has the triumphant moment, but all of the problems and challenges still exist.
It trusts that the audience understood that the change was internal.
Yeah.
In a movie in which you're waiting for everything external to change, and that the great moment is an internal change, it's good storytelling.
Yeah, it really is. And so, you know, hats off to Curtis Hanson for making a good movie.
100%. Well, let's spend one more week in 2002. We know that we're here to see Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. We know it's going to be sold out again. That's okay. We like hanging out at the movie theater. We like seeing. We listed all the good movies.
I was going to say, we have lots of choices.
Oh,
I could hang out in
goodness.
2002 for more than a week if I needed to.
I would happily go hang out in theater number 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 until we get to Harry Potter. But we're going to do just one more movie in 2002 before we go see the headliner. And so looking forward to it. This has been awesome chatting a mile with you, though.
Best thing about this episode is that I gained a new appreciation for elements of the movie. My viewing experience was enhanced. And so thank you for being a great co-host, Ian.
Look at that.
Look how nice I am to you. You wrote this like horrific diss rap.
It was really mean. Maybe I'll release it on our Instagram.
Oh, God. Well, that is the show. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Hope you had a good time. Make sure and stay connected with us in the meantime. You can find us on social media at soldout_pod. Also, make sure and visit us at upleftmedia.com, where you can find out everything that we do at Upleft Media. It's not just Sold Out. We also have our other show, Nailed It Novels with Rosie Page, which is a really fun book club with a twist. And you can also find the Sold Out blog, where you will find out which of the many great choices in 2002 we end up going with for the next episode. Ian, where can they find you?
I am at Ian_upleft at all of the places, and I love keeping that blog, writing about the movies, and talking about which ones are coming up. And so definitely check it out. We're going to be having a blog on there for Nailed It Novels as well, as Rosie Page explores all of those books and designs nails. She'll also be announcing what her next books are.
And if you are interested in what I am up to, I can be found at Michael_upleft at all of the places.
Cool beans.
Until next time, we'll see you at the movies.
We'll see you next time on Sold Out.
Sold Out is an Upleft Media production. Hosted, written, and produced by Ian Tarter and Michael Smith. Edited and sound engineered by Ian Tarter. With special thanks to Rosie Page.